Hey, have you ever watched a Filipino movie? How about an indie psychological horror Filipino movie? Or an indie psychological horror Filipino movie with zombies? This movie is all of the above, and it's a mess, the good kind. Outside is a new horror movie on Netflix from director and writer Carlo Ledesma. The movie is about a family that's trying to survive the zombie apocalypse while dealing with internal issues like childhood trauma, infidelity, and generational abuse. Francis, the padre de familia, is played by Lucero, and Iris, Francis' wife, is played by Beauty Gonzales. The movie itself has had mixed reviews since its release. Some see it as a step in the right direction in terms of quality and cinematography when you compare it to the slop that becomes popular in the Philippines. This video is going to be my take on Outside, and I'll be sharing what I like and dislike about the movie. Before we continue, I am letting you know that there will be major spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the movie yet, feel free to pause right here and come back when you're done. If you're still here, then I assume you've already watched it, so here we go.
Hindi biningi. Yeah. Hindi.
Francis and Iris travel to the province with their two sons, Josh and Lucas, to Francis' childhood home. There, they find Francis' father, who shot himself in bed to prevent himself from becoming a zombie. Francis takes his father's pistol and wristwatch from his rotting corpse, and we see the camera focus on Francis' expression. We could see in Francis' face that there isn't any sadness over his father's death. He seemed relieved that the person who abused him as a child is now gone, but we see him struggling to stay composed, like he is trying to convince himself that his father is really gone. We get an immediate juxtaposition when Francis sees his zombified mother in the hallway, repeating the word sorry as she crawls half her body towards him. This scene is packed with a lot of meaning. Zombies in this film repeat the last thing they ever said before dying. So who was she saying sorry to? We never really get an answer to that question, but it's a word that not a lot of people get to hear from their parents. The director wanted to put family issues at the heart of his message, and he does it from the very start. For parents, it's a message telling them to apologize for the wrong they might have done to their kids, and for the children, it's telling them to forgive before it's too late. It's one of the few good scenes that the movie has to offer. He buries his parents in the field, and oh look, it's the title of the movie. I really don't like the font. Cut to black. Anyway, we get to this scene. Iris has just woken up from her beauty sleep. Get it? Because the actress name is Beauty. Boo! Your joke is bad, boo! Alright, already, I'm going back to the topic. The scene is simple, but it helps express the current status of the relationship in this family. Francis is alone on a bed that clearly had enough space to fit all four of them, yet his wife and kids are sleeping on the floor. It's such a small room, but they have effectively portrayed how distant Francis has become. We see this again in the next scene, where Francis tests the water pump if they could get clean, drinkable water. They are so far in the background that you can't even see their faces clearly anymore. When he was able to determine that the water was clean, he called his two sons over and they immediately started playing with the pump. When the camera focused on Iris, however, she was clearly not amused and just walked away, back into the house. So if you're like me, your first impression of Iris might be similar, and that impression was she's kind of a bitch. The scene where she just smokes and tries to ignore Francis and the kids really makes her unlikable, and that does become a problem with the vibes of the movie.
Seryoso?
Yeah, seriously, what's your problem? And the next part is only going to make it worse. Francis and Josh goes to the garage to see if there's anything useful. Josh finds a dead body hanging from the ceiling with the keys on his waist. Francis tells Josh to get the keys. At first he refuses, but Francis reassures him that it's just a dead body. What happens next? That body falls on Josh, and what does his father do? So this scene is part of your typical zombie movie. Some stupid kid tries to mess with a dead body, then said dead body reanimates and attacks the kid. Here we see it recontextualized as a father letting his son approach a dead body, and when it falls down on his son, he just looks at him like, the fuck you doing? Which is absolutely infuriating. Understandably, the kid is shaken by the whole experience, and when Iris asks what's happened, what did he say?
Hayaan mo para masanay.
Translation, you'll get used to it. The callousness and harsh treatment of the eldest son would become more and more apparent as we go along, especially when we find out the reason later on. For now, the movie is just establishing just how dysfunctional the couple are when it comes to parenting and gives the audience something that they can relate to in terms of their own family dynamic, which is something that the movie could have focused on, but as we keep watching, it becomes a source of frustration because of how stupid a problem it is during a zombie apocalypse. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I promise there will be more time for an angry rant later. Remember when I said that the acting did a lot of heavy lifting in the movie? Well, this scene is another banger by Sid Lucero. The scene itself explained a lot about Francis' childhood without really needing to say anything. The dirty bed in the corner, the drawings on the wall. It's easy to picture a young boy being locked in that dirty basement as punishment by a monster of a father. We get to see how hard it is for Francis to be in that room and how fast he runs off the moment he found out that there wasn't any gas in the generator. The sweating, the shaking, it's like looking at a PTSD patient. The acting was very convincing here and it plays to the strengths of the actors in the Philippines. I'm not saying that Filipino actors are only good at drama, but it's been the staple of the film industry for so many years. But we will see that it also has its problems later on. The dinner conversation after this felt absolutely awkward, and it goes for the following dinner scenes as well. I hated it. I hated this one. I hate every single one that comes after. But as much as I hate it, however, these scenes do have a purpose. The level of awkwardness during dinner is an indicator of how good or bad the relationship between the family members are. Anyway, in this conversation, they're talking about moving further north to find a safer place with people. Francis is against the idea because he believes the house is the safest place and there's no guarantee that anyone else is alive. Which is a fair assumption, and considering that they have a source of clean water, food would be their only problem. Conversation gets cut short when Francis snaps at Josh again, poor kid can't get a break. And we move on to the next scene where we see Josh trying to contact his girlfriend before his battery dies out. Once again, Josh is the butt of the joke in this movie, and it's a sad joke indeed. More lore drop and a jump scare that actually got me the first time, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, they did a good job making sure that we understand that the father was bad and scary. If only they spent the same amount of time making the zombies scary, or adding more zombies in their zombie movie. Moving on, Iris talk no jutsus Francis into traveling further north. Francis gets war flashbacks because of Iris' past infidelity, and then they get to the bridge which was barricaded. At this point, Francis wants to turn back, but Iris, being her annoying self, decides getting out of the car to move the barricade was a good idea. Spoilers, she wakes up a fucking horde and almost gets her family killed. Francis gets to be a badass this once in the movie and lures a zombie away from his family, finds a grenade and blows them all the fuck up. This is either his victory screech or we're adding more PTSD. Either way, it's a win for Francis for keeping his family safe. They take a victory walk back to the house. They get home. Francis makes a point to Iris that he gave her way a chance, and enough said. So I'm going to end my review here because I feel like I've covered enough of the movie to make my opinion clear. Outside has its moments of great acting and cinematography, but the clashing themes, slow pacing, and subplots that just go nowhere really makes the movie feel like a waste of potential. It's not entirely unwatchable because the acting in this movie is still something worth experiencing, and the film industry can learn a lot from the cinematography. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.